My name is Katrina Medoff.
I'm Tracy Sayer. We are the co-founders and co-executive directors of Moonshot Initiative. Moonshot Initiative, formerly known as Women's Week in Film Challenge, works toward gender equity in film and TV through 4 programs: our signature film challenge, our virtual event series, our virtual courses, and our pilot accelerator.
So some of you may already know us from our film challenge. Some of you may have come to our virtual workshop series or taken some of our courses. Some of you may even have applied for our pilot accelerator in the past years in 2021 or 2023. But even if you've participated in any of our programs, we wanted to hold this info session so that we can answer any questions that you have about our application process or anything about our program as you prepare your application.
Yeah. Before we talk more about the program, we're going to share some links and dates in the chat. In the meantime, please make sure to add your questions in the Q&A tab. It's down below, and upvote the questions that you really want us to answer.
We are also raffling off from Western Digital a 2 terabyte Armor ATD drive to one lucky attendee of this workshop.
All right, people want to know what the cat's name is. This is Remy. He is very attached to me right now. I don't know why. Now we're going to take a few minutes to give you a rundown of the Pilot Accelerator application process and then the program itself. After that, we're going to answer your questions. So please submit your questions in the Q&A tab, like I said, not in the chat. We have a lot of people in this info session, so we might not get to all the questions, but we're going to try our best. And we will probably answer a lot of the questions as we do this rundown. So right now we are accepting applications. We're looking for live action narrative pilot scripts of any genre, half-hour or hour-long format that improve the representation of women and non-binary people in television. Fees range depending on when you submit, ranging from $55 for the early deadline, which was this past weekend, to $95 for the final deadline on April 14th. And at the end of this Q&A, we will be sharing a discount code for you all.
Our Moonshot team and volunteer readers are going through all of the applications. Our readers include fellows, finalists, semi-finalists, quarter-finalists from our past pilot accelerators, as well as participants from our past film challenges. We will be selecting about 50 quarter-finalists who will need to submit a 2-minute video for further consideration, and we will provide all of the information to the quarter-finalists about what needs to go in that video. Then from that group, we're going to be selecting 24 semi-finalists, and these scripts will be read by industry judges. So those include TV series creators, showrunners, executive producers, TV writers. This is a great opportunity for the semi-finalists because many of these judges are in a position to staff rooms now or in the future. We've had several of our industry judges in the past request meetings or contact information for some of the semi-finalists whose scripts they've read, even if these people did not go on to be fellows in the program. So it's a great opportunity regardless. And our semi-finalists are also invited to a virtual networking event where they can connect with other semi-finalists and just build their community of up-and-coming writers.
Yeah. And then after we receive feedback from our industry judges, we'll select about 12 finalists who will be interviewed via Zoom in late May. We will announce the 6 to 8 fellows in early June. We're looking for people who have complete, polished scripts ready to sell, who are ready to be staffed in a writer's room. We're looking for people who are excited to dedicate a lot of time and energy into this program. It will be an intensive time for getting your pitch ready. Sorry, it's intensive, but you will be super ready by the end of this program. Now we're going to talk about the program itself.
So about the program itself, these 6 to 8 fellows will get some homework once they are announced, which is a few weeks before the program begins. They'll be reading each other's scripts, watching some of our past virtual workshops to prepare, They'll be preparing their 10-minute verbal pitch to bring in. That's what we'll be workshopping throughout the program. And during this time, they'll also get a one-on-one mentorship meeting with one of our past Pilot Accelerator fellows who went through it all in 2023, so that they can talk to someone who just went through the process. We will be meeting from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern on June 18th, 20th, 25th, 26th, 27th, July 9th, 10th, and 11th. And those were all in the dates that we post in the chat. During those meetings, we will be bringing in industry guests to give our fellows advice, help them polish their pitch, and answer any questions that they have. So last year we had Elle Johnson, who is a showrunner on Netflix, who helped, prepare a solid pitch from the perspective of someone who's pitched successfully before. We had Jasmine Russ, VP of Production and Development at Fable Entertainment, who was looking at it from the point of view of a development exec and giving notes on the pitch. Similarly, speech coach Samara Bay was helping, our fellows really bring their full selves to the pitch and make it really natural. We had a mock writers room with Matthew J. Lieberman, Q&As with an entertainment lawyer, as well as a Q&A with an agent. So just to give a lot of different perspectives for the fellows before they go into pitch week and help them get as much feedback on their pitches as they can.
Now for the pitches. We have not yet announced the full list of studios, production companies, producers, and representatives who will be hearing the pitches, but keep an eye out on our website, social media, and email list for the big announcement. Companies that have heard pitches in the past include HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Showtime, Warner Brothers, Anonymous Content, and many, many more. Each company that gets involved agrees to hear at least 3 pitches from our fellows. We send over the fellows log lines to them in advance, and they will let us know whose pitches they like to hear. Some of them only develop comedy, for example, so they wouldn't want to hear drama pitches. In each of our last 2 accelerators, we had about 20 companies that heard pitches, and we set up a total of 63 pitch meetings for the accelerator. Each fellow had 6 to 10 one-on-one meetings. Yes, the meetings are one-on-one. About 85% of last year's meetings ended in a request to read the script. Several execs told us how impressed they were with the fellows and their pitches, saying they were better prepared than many of the meetings they typically take. Woo. And since the accelerators, several of our fellows have gotten staffed, received representation, become mentees to showrunners, gotten work as writer room support staff, won contests, and their pitches prepped in our program. Won contests with pitches that we prepped in our program, and so much more.
And so just to talk about the goals a little bit before we move on to the audience questions, of course, we would love if one or more of our fellows was able to sell a pitch, but that's not the only outcome we're shooting for. Obviously, selling your project, getting it into development is difficult, even if you've had many projects sold or things on TV in the past. So this is, a big dream, but there's a lot of other things that we're really looking to do. We're hoping that some of the fellows could be hired as staff writers or support staff for existing shows. We're hoping that even the semi-finalists who don't make it into the program make a good enough impression on the industry judges who read their work that they'll be asked for a meeting. It's all about getting their foot in the door. So maybe a meeting doesn't lead to a sale at this time, but a production company likes you enough that they want you to reach out with your next project. Maybe a producer or an exec remembers you next time one of their shows is staffing and thinks you'd be a great fit for the room. All of our past fellows have had their pitch week meetings result in requests to read the script and general meetings with the people that they pitched to or other follow-up meetings. So these are really important relationships to develop, even if there's no, direct immediate payoff. These are the type of people that you need to grow in your network. We've had multiple fellows find a representative during our pitch week, and even fellows who have said, just the fact that I was able to tell people, I'm progressing as a semi-finalist, a finalist, a fellow, or, hey, I have all of these pitches lined up. They were able to get representatives that way too, even if it wasn't someone they pitched to. And just in general, our fellows will all be making great connections with the other writers, the other fellows who are all moving up the ranks of the industry. So one of the biggest benefits will be the peer connections that the fellows make with the other fellows, because these are the people who will be hiring in the future. They'll remember the great notes you gave. They'll the people who will ask you to read their next project and refer you to their agent when they have representation. So those are the people that you might end up collaborating with. We've had one fellow refer, another fellow to their agent and have that result in them getting a meeting. So those connections might be the most valuable in the long run. And that's one of the reasons that we have an intensive schedule and require 100% attendance, because our fellows really become a family and get to know each other. So
We are going to move along to the audience questions in a minute. But first I wanted to share our upcoming event.
We have a Q&A with our fellows, if you want to talk about that, Tracy.
We did this last time with our fellows while the accelerator was applications were open. This is a great time to hear from the people who were selected for the last accelerator that we did. The fellows are going to talk about what it was like during these pitch meetings, share their advice. It's a really helpful workshop to attend if you are interested in applying for the accelerator, but also just interested in knowing like what it takes to pitch to these really big companies. They're going to share lots of tips. So maybe you won't even need to get into the pilot accelerator. Maybe you'll get enough out of that workshop, but there's only one way to find out.
On April 7th, we have another panel. It's called Working in a Writer's Room 101. And that is going to be with Danielle Nicky, who is one of our fellows from 2021. She was staffed in 2 rooms so far. And Christina Thomas, who's been staffed in several rooms and has been one of the judges for our pilot accelerator, as well as Heather Taylor, who was a director in our very first film challenge, I believe, back in 2018. And also has been staffed, and they all have some great perspectives on that. Finally, for our Patreon members at the visionary level and above, we have a bunch of full recordings of our past workshops, including a mock general meeting with a development exec, Q&A with a Warner Brothers development exec, interviews with showrunners, and our 2021 fellows panel. So we'll put the Patreon link in the chat. And we have a bunch of blog posts to help you with your application that we'll be putting in the chat as well, like the answers we want to see for the application. Look out for all of that from our chat mod. So let's go ahead onto the audience questions.
Okay.
How important is the pitch deck, and is a more traditional written pitch document acceptable?
The script is the most important thing. The pitch deck is just an extra bonus. We would say that if you have a really great pitch deck that is very polished, really highlights your show, it's a real big asset, definitely include it, but you don't need to include it if you don't have one yet. Like, don't rush to finish something, because it will only hurt your application if it's not good. So it's
Absolutely.
not necessary.
And yes, if you have a written pitch document that you're really proud of, you can definitely include that one there too. Sometimes that can be a real help to getting a bigger picture of what your project is. So if you have something polished, go ahead and put it in. But like Tracy said, if it's something you're trying to throw together at the last minute, we would rather you just focus on your pilot script.
All right. Is there a disadvantage to sending the pilot in at the final deadline other than the cost?
No, it's really just about the different costs associated with, submitting it early versus submitting it late. They all get the same consideration.
Yeah, we're just trying to spread out the applications so that we can review them in time. So there's an incentive to apply early, but there's no disadvantage to applying by the final deadline.
That's why you'll see every contest and competition has early deadlines. They're like, please submit early so we don't have a pile all on the last day. But I have no idea who's been selected in the past when they've submitted, but there's no difference at all, really.
I've actually looked at it, and it's quite a range. So
Oh, okay.
Okay, next question.
Let's see. Can you submit multiple pilots or multiple applications?
Yes, you may. And we will look at each one separately. Each one will get judged separately, get separate notes, and yeah. Will we have to withdraw our entry if we are able to get it optioned or purchased after applying?
Um, I mean, really, this is about pitching to a bunch of companies. So typically people wouldn't want to pitch something that's been optioned already, or maybe that is, more of a legal problem with whoever has optioned your script rather than with us. Um, I think we have had someone who's withdrawn after the happy news that, her project was going into development. Obviously, if that happens, that's very exciting because the whole point of something like this is for something of that sort to happen.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think you would more have to ask, whoever's developing it with you or whoever optioned it, in terms of,
But she did make it to the she was a semi-finalist, and so
Mhm.
having that on her resume helped as well. So
Yeah, and
she did have to withdraw, but it was worth it to her in the end as well. How many people? Oh no, you ask.
how many people normally apply?
We get about 700 applications each year, 700 to 720 to be specific,
That's really
722. If we are part of a mixed gendered creative team, do we still qualify?
Yes, anyone can submit. You must be over 18. You can be anywhere in the world. You have to have a half-hour or hour-long live action narrative pilot. So we're not looking for animation or documentary or a feature film. It has to be in English. I don't know if I said that already, but all of the rules and everything are on our website and the Film Freeway page.
What if we, oh no, you
Oh, it's
asked
my
me.
turn to ask the question
Why is it so hard to do
because
that?
I keep forgetting to ask you the question.
Uh,
What if we have strong female characters, but it's part of an ensemble cast?
Absolutely. We are just looking for to advance the representation of women and non-binary people. So if they're there, if it's a good representation, strong storytelling, we're looking for fantastic writers, um, all that advances. You can have a male lead, you can have men can exist, they do in the world. So that is definitely not a disqualifier. Um, are there any resources available about script formatting standards?
Hmm. What's the book that you always like to tell people, Tracy?
Uh, screenwriters, but the Screenwriter's Bible, and there, I think there's one specifically for TV. Um, I think it's a fantastic book. I reference it like anytime I'm working on a script. I'm double checking it. Um, Also, all of our courses, write a pilot in 30 days. That has some excellent formatting tips in it. The
But
next time.
also, just generally, it's free to Google, pilot script and then any TV show, most will be online available for free. And so we would recommend you just like looking up and reading a bunch of scripts that, for shows that have been on the air recently and just see how it's formatted. You'll get really used to not only, the standard ways of formatting, but also things like how much white space do you see on the page? How many lines of text do you typically see in a description before you see a paragraph break? Just the things that, you get used to seeing, how much or how little, are they kind of directing from the page or giving camera directions? It's usually less in TV and more in film. So, I would just look at that and just get really used to it and then make sure that you're using a screenwriting software, so that, that will also help you to format. Um, we have a question that says, what genres were most successful in previous years?
Um, Really all of the genres. We try to have a good variety of genres. We want to make sure that the people hearing the pitches, um they basically never they don't have very strict mandates we found. They just want good storytelling and good ideas. And so we don't go into it thinking like, okay, this year everyone's looking for procedurals. We've got to find them. Or this year everyone wants dark comedies. We really just look for the best writing we can find, and then we find that the studios and the companies respond to that well. And even if they're not looking for dramas this year, hospital dramas, maybe they see something in a log line that they're like, oh, I gotta read that.
Mm. We try to do half comedy and half drama in general because we have some development execs on board who just focus on comedy or who are just a drama exec. And so we like to make sure that they have enough variety to choose from. Each exec who agrees to be part of this agrees to hear 3 pitches. So we'll send the log lines of all 8 and they're going to choose 3. So that's why we want to make sure, we don't have 7 comedies and 1 drama. We try to make half and half, but within that, there's a lot of variety too. Like Tracy said, we've had fantasy, we've had sci-fi, dystopian, we've had a zombie YA show, we've had a Western, we've had all sorts. We really want to see all sorts because we want to make sure that we have a good variety in our final mix as the fellows.
Yeah. And all of us that are making the final selections, we all have very different preferences for the genres that we like. So it always just comes down to the writing quality. So submit the script for whichever script that you think is the best written and the one that you love the most. Don't worry about the genre.
Mhm.
All right. What makes an application stand out to you guys at every step of the process, from app, the 2-minute video, and interview? Good question.
So for the application, we're primarily looking at the script itself. We also look at all of the questions that we have in the application. We try to keep it short and sweet because we know how arduous it is to submit your projects with all these different applications. But we always ask, why you, why now? We have some blog posts on that we had pasted in the chat, and we'll paste them in at the end too. We want to see your log line there. We ask about your season and series plan in just a couple sentences because we want a good picture of what you're working toward with the pilot. So with the pilot script, you want to make sure you're especially really, really strong at the beginning because that's our first impression. That's what we're seeing from you but you want to make sure that you keep that going throughout the whole script and that the ending is really captivating as well. So that's, the script. We want to make sure it's polished and in industry standard formatting, something that we would be comfortable sending to, the industry judges if you got to the semi-finalist point. For the 2-minute video, we really like it when we can see people's personality in it. This is kind of our taste of what you would be like if you were pitching and what you would be like to work with. So just bringing your personality, really giving us that genuine answer to why you decided to work on this project or why it's important to tell this story now. And then in the interview, we have our finalists kind of expand on that 2-minute pitch. Instead, they do a 5-minute pitch, and then we ask them a lot of questions and get to know them a little bit better. And yeah, we just are looking, I guess, for the full package, both someone who has a really strong script, but also someone who is ready to be in a room with the execs and pitch their project.
Yeah. Like, we want to find the people that when we read their work, we're like, why isn't this person in a writer's room already? Hasn't this person sold their script? This is so good. This needs to be on TV. That's the feeling we want to have. Other than that, like, everything else is just icing on the cake. You don't need to be in other fellowships, have lots of awards. That is not ever going to be a reason why you don't move to the next level. And we really just want in the video, we really want authenticity. Like, if you are not a bubbly, outgoing person, you don't need to perform like that in the video. We just want to know what you're like, how you express yourself. Unfortunately, this is such a hard job because as a writer, you're so used to just being alone and expressing things on the paper. But when it comes to pitching, you have to be able to express things vocally. And so we want to make sure that you can talk about your work in person and not just through your writing.
And it's kind of, a trick of the video, but we love for people to feel really natural in their pitch and like they're just talking to us. So, you could probably see us when we were reading all the information about the
Yeah,
accelerator.
don't do that.
We're sitting there reading, we really want you in these couple minutes to be able to just look at the camera and talk, which we know is difficult, especially for writers, again, who are most comfortable sitting behind the computer and typing. But it's the chance for us to get to know who you are as both a person and a writer. Next question. Does having a proof of concept help at all, supporting media, etc.?
It's again like the pitch deck, it's not necessary. Sometimes it helps, sometimes um we read the script and then we watch a proof of concept and we say, oh wow, this person like really um was able to express their vision on paper in their writing. So it if you have it and it's good, you can include it, but it's really not going to be a decision make a factor in the decision making.
I feel like it's only like 1% of applications would even have that. And that's
Yeah.
not something that our industry judges would see. It's not something that our volunteer readers would see. It might be something that's, taken a look at by our team if it's there, but please do not worry about a proof of concept at all. That's, not a factor in any way. Um, Next question.
All right. You had a great blog post. Oh, that's all, Katrina. You had a great blog post about stakes. Can you speak more about what you look for in comedy scripts regarding stakes?
I think it is difficult with comedy because sometimes it does feel like there are a lot of scripts where people are just kind of like living life and sort of dealing with what life throws at them. But I think what's important is for the character to have really strong desire in the script, even if it doesn't feel that important. It's not like life or death, right? Like I'm talking like How I Met Your Mother, like Ted finding the love of his life is like the most important thing to him. Or, you watch a pilot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and you have this rivalry between the two characters about like who's going to solve the most cases. And so they have these stakes that are about just kind of more than just this one episode that kind of drive you through, either a few episodes or like the series as a whole. I was just watching sort
And even
of.
shows like The Office, where it feels like it's just like a nice low key, low stakes show. Like the Office is their lives and it's very important to them. Like the stakes are for each of those characters, there are stakes there, even though it seems like it's just like easygoing.
Hmm. I think one of the biggest things to look at is like, do things happen in my script? Are things happening? And that's a good thing to look at. And like, does my character want something really badly? And does it feel like, there's going to be something negative if they don't get that thing, even if it's not like a big deal thing. Or look
Also
at
ask
Abbott
yourself,
Elementary. I mean, like the stakes could be like there's no electricity on or something, but like it's that really matters to these teachers who are trying to, bring all of these kids through another day of schooling. So, yeah. Do you look at projects that have applied before if they've changed?
absolutely. Last time there was a script that I was fighting for to get to the semifinals and it didn't make it. And then they applied again and they improved the script even more and it made it to the semifinals. I think, no, I think a finalist. It was a really good script. So I was we're always excited when we see a repeat application and see like how we notice how it's improved. So
Yeah, we have we would definitely recommend that you submit it after you've made changes. We wouldn't recommend submitting it again exactly as it was before, but if you've made significant changes, then you could definitely reapply. And we also love to see new stuff if you have it.
yeah.
Um,
And also we have new readers every time, and this is all subjective. And so sometimes someone will read your script and they love it, and another person can read it and they might say, eh, not for me. So there is always the chance that you'll get readers that it's better for them the second time around.
Our team also gets excited if there's someone who they remember liking a script from before. Like one of our team readers was excited to see one of our finalists submitted again with a new script and was just like, "Ooh, what does she have in store for us this time?" You know.
Mm.
So we do remember, you know, when we're impressed by people year after year. Let's see, next question. Does it make a difference if your script is location specific? It's, for example, set in Newfoundland Outport.
I think that's a benefit. That sounds awesome. I would read it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's great. Like specificity is always great. And I love it when there's, you know, the feeling that the location is also a character, the setting's also a character in the scripts.
Yeah, absolutely. What times during the day would you need to be available during pitch week? If this is not set yet, is there an estimation based on previous years?
I would say for the most part, these pitches are happening during working hours in LA and New York. And we can't really give you specific times because it's so much based on when these execs are free. They have very busy schedules, and sometimes we have them booked for a certain time, and at the last minute it changes. So that's why we really like to keep for people to keep it open. Because we have had to email our fellows at the last minute and say, hey, this is getting moved. And we've had execs come in from Zooming in from England. And so, you know, they might have a little bit, oh my God, is it earlier or later of a time than people normally would in LA? Earlier of a time. Um, so yeah, but mostly it happens during working hours, East Coast and West Coast. How many readers read each entry in the first round?
How many readers read? Two.
Yeah.
I
And
felt
then
like that was a trick. How many readers read? Yes, two readers in the first round. And then we have another two different readers the second time, and then
two in,
two industry judges, and then the whole team reads
right.
the script again.
Yeah. And even before the industry judges read it, we have someone else from our team
Oh
reading it
yeah,
in full. So your script could be read if you get to like the final rounds, your script will have been read by 10 people, I think, 9 or
at
10.
least.
Yeah. Um, oh, your turn to ask a question.
If we have a mission statement slash a pitch doc which expands the world of the series for our pilot script, is that something which would be helpful to include in the initial application?
Yeah, again, anything that you have that's, you know, a deck or a written document that you want to include that you feel is really helpful, then you should include that. The times when we dissuade somebody from including additional information would just be if they haven't really fleshed it out or put that much time into it. You know, sometimes we see in pitch decks, where the imagery is all over the place. And then we're like, wait, what is this tone? What is this world? And it almost confuses us more as to what the writer's intent was. Similarly, if a writer has all these comps in their pitch deck and they really just don't match what we're reading on the script at all, it kind of says, wait, does this writer know what, you know, what they're creating with their project? Is this really in line with what they've actually put on the page? Or if, you know, you have something that's just below the level of the writing that you have, you don't want anything to bring your script down. So if you have something that adds to it, and because we've had times when we've looked at pitch decks and we're like, wow, this person has a very clear vision. They know the world, they know the tone. I can just see it all. Then yes, that like definitely adds to the application. But yeah, you just have to be careful with what's helping you or what's detracting from your strong writing. Does the potential cost of a pilot or series affect its viability for the program? Hypothetical example, a period piece, asking for a friend.
We have definitely had lots of period pieces accepted as fellows. No, it won't affect our chances. Good writing is good writing, and we've found that the studios want to read period pieces just as much as they want to read low budget things. They just want to meet good writers, great
If
writers.
if a company is interested in making something, they'll be interested in making it. So um yeah, send us what you've got. Period piece is welcome, hypothetically,
For a friend.
for a friend.
Okay. Can you talk about the kind of diversity that exists on the team that reads the applicant's scripts?
Yeah, we try to have our group of volunteer readers and for our team to really reflect the diversity of our community, of all of our programs. So that's, a little bit more than half women of color. Try to get at least, a third of them are LGBTQ plus community. We just try to have representation from all aspects of our community so that, the readers are reflecting our community and helping to bring that diversity into the people who are moved forward in all of the rounds.
Yeah, and you can see our list of industry judges that we've um, relied on in the past, and you can see that we really do. I really cannot talk tonight.
It's when you're coming down with a cold,
Yeah,
you got the
we
brain
really
fog.
do prioritize diversity. That is very important to us. So you can see the industry judges, but it's also behind the scenes as well that
Yeah.
not everyone looks like us. We promise.
We really like for to get different perspectives on each script because everyone's coming into it with a different viewpoint. And it's just important that, people with a lot of different backgrounds are taking a look at a project because, you even see that with the execs. Some projects are really going to resonate with one person and not with another. And so that is very important to us. Can you submit two different pilots for one application or do they need to be two separate applications?
They need to be two separate applications. We read each application, and it's every time we read an application, it's just one script. So yeah, you'd have to do two separate applications. What age range have the fellows represented?
Oh my gosh, I always think everyone's like 10
We always
years.
think people are younger than they actually are, but I
No,
feel like
I think we have like 20s to 50s represented in our past fellows. But don't quote me on that. But we aren't looking at age specifically. We do want age diversity in our program. But that's not, something that we're really going to know when we look at the application. So, um don't be discouraged if you're like, okay, I should have a certain level of accolades or something based on being, X number of years old. We're really not looking at age as a factor. Okay. Have we gotten through all of our
I think
questions so
we
far?
got through all of them. Did that happen? I was answering very quickly for a lot of them. I was like, yes, no.
I know we're just trying to get through as fast as possible.
Uh,
Oh, I see a new one here. Do you allow co-authored projects?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
Um,
do.
but I think just two people is the maximum. We're not looking for writing teams bigger than two people just because of how many people, could be on the pitch meeting at once. As we wait to see if there are any other questions, just to wrap it up, We do have those next two events. So one of them is next week. That's the Q&A with our Pilot Accelerator fellows. It's going to be 7 of the 8 of them are going to be able to make it. So you're going to get a wide perspective on what the program was like. And then April 7th is working in a writer's room 101. So that's about how to get your first staff writing job, how to succeed in your first writer's room,
What it's
and
actually like.
what it's actually like and all that. These are both pay what you can with a suggested donation of $20. And we
I'll
have a
bring
lot of blog posts. Some people mention this to help you with your application. We try to make all the resources available because we're not trying to hide, what it takes to succeed. We want to read really good applications. So we have a post about the answers we want to see in our applications. We walk you through every single question and, what kind of response we want to see for those. Things to look out for of what might be holding your pilot script back. 2 questions you need to be able to answer, how to hook your reader at the beginning or how to strengthen your cold open. We also have a link to a podcast episode we just did recently with Gigi Hawkins, who was one of our Pilot Accelerator fellows in 2023. She hosts the No Film School podcast. So we talked about our Pilot Accelerator from our perspective as well as her perspective as a fellow. So let's just check
And we have
that.
our giveaway in a minute, but before we do that, I just want to add that we started this program because we were doing virtual workshops with we did about 80 of them during the pandemic. We're still doing them. And above and beyond, the most popular ones were always about how to break into writing, how to sell a script, how to become a showrunner. And we realized that our community was really hungry to get into the writer's room, but didn't have the connections. And we were getting those connections through our virtual workshop series. And we figured, why don't we just put together a program so that we can help find really amazing writers that deserve this opportunity, deserve a chance to break through and help them get through. So we are not looking to reject people. Unfortunately, we have to, but we are in this business to find amazing people and help them advance. And so Sherry says, I want to wiggle into that writing room. So we know that it's highly competitive, but the competitive nature is actually what ends up helping the fellows because that's a huge benefit for them to be able to say like, I beat out 720 other writers. The script deserves to be read. So we want you guys to succeed. We're trying to make as many of these applications. Oh yeah, 712, sorry. We're trying to help out as much as possible by making the blog posts available, by making these workshops with our past fellows, all that stuff. We really do want you to succeed.
So we do have a couple more questions. We will continue to speed our way through it. Let's see. What do you prefer to see on the front page?
Like the title page?
I think that's the question.
I don't really have any of that. I guess just the title, author name. We don't need your phone number and email address. I believe all that is in the application. And
This has
you
not
can
been a
include,
factor for us.
yeah, it hasn't been a factor. Um, if I have a vision for the music I want used in the pilot, can I include a link of a playlist or mention it in the script?
Sometimes people mention music in the script. That doesn't always mean that that would be what's, licensed for use or anything like that. But sometimes it's helpful for people. Yeah, you could do whatever you want if you have a really strong vision with that. But it's not, again, it's not something that we look for or that we feel is missing if it's not there.
Yeah. Yeah, if the
Um,
music is like crucial to the story, maybe include that link, but it's not necessary.
is there an ideal target audience for the scripts you're searching for?
Mm,
It's just adult. We've
yeah.
had one YA one before, but we're not looking for, children's. projects. That's not the kind of development execs that we have on board.
Yeah. And we get a pretty wide range of companies to hear pitches, and they have very different audiences. So um again, we're looking for really good writing. The audience, I think audiences come to good stories. If the script contains the use of different languages, is there a specific way you would need it translated?
I would look at comps to see how they do it. I mean, sometimes people just have um, small bits of text in another language that you kind of understand from context clues. Sometimes if it would be translated on the screen, you will see the translation in the script as well, because that's the kind of that's the kind of information that your viewer would have, so your reader would have it too. But I would look at comps for how that was done.
Yeah. My personal favorite formatting strategy for different languages is to have English in the dialogue and then in parentheses above it say like in Arabic, in Spanish. So the reader knows what it means basically, but you know that it will be in another language on the screen.
That also helps you get around needing a translator if you don't speak the language. Oh, one last one. Is it taboo to include scene numbers in your script?
Yeah, you don't need them. These are all spec scripts, so scene numbers are usually for shooting scripts.
Okay, I think we've gotten through all of our questions. We are going to do our raffle now. So Western Digital is raffling off a 2 TB Armor ATD hard drive to one lucky attendee of this workshop. You must be a US resident to enter. And to enter, please raise your Zoom hand.
Can I choose?
You can choose. We're just going to do a random selection as
All right.
Tracy looks through. Thank you so much to Western Digital for sponsoring our pilot accelerator.
All right, Amanda De La Cruz, you are the lucky winner.
Amanda, congratulations. Please send your email and your mailing address to panelists only. It should say host and panelists. Don't send it to everybody. Just send it through and we will pass that information along. So congratulations. Okay.
And
So
thank you so much, Western Digital, for the hard drive giveaway, but also they are one of our sponsors for the accelerator. That's one of the reasons why we can run this program. So we're so grateful for them. And they are continuous supporters of our mission. So we love Western Digital.
all right. I think we have gotten through everybody. We are really looking forward to seeing your applications. We really get so excited when we get these applications because it's like, ooh, what's new these days? What's in the zeitgeist? Like, what are people thinking about? What amazing scripts do we have in store? So we can't wait to find out who's going to be our group of fellows this year. Yeah, we've just had amazing, like literally amazing fellows in the past, amazing writers, amazing at pitching and just like amazing people. So
Yeah.
we just want to
And we are
continue.
always rooting for them. Like I just had a meeting with someone at Warner Brothers a few weeks ago, and she was talking about a show that she was trying to staff, and I was like, "Oh, you should talk to so and so, one of our fellows. I think that they would be great for your show." So I put them in touch, and that's always what's happening behind the scenes. Like we are always thinking our fellows are our children, and we just want them to succeed.
And we are really trying to create a larger community than that too. I mean, we know that this is one of those scenarios where, it is only a small percentage of people who get through each year to actually be part of the program. But with our semifinalists, we do a networking event because we want them to feel like they're building their community, like they're part of the community. We've referred our semi-finalists to opportunities as well because, we want to lift all these people up. And it's really hard to pick the fellows, it's like these are all really talented. Once you get to the final rounds, these are all really talented writers. And a lot of it then is due to, subjective opinions or just the mix of the people that we have in terms of, half comedy, half drama, etc. And, we really like it hurts us sometimes to like not be able to bring certain people through to the fellows. And so we really want to build this broader community. We do meetups, in-person meetups sometimes with our fellows from all the years so that they can get to know each other. So, you know, keep submitting if you've submitted in the past and haven't made it through, or if you've made it to the quarterfinal round. And that means we really like your work and we want to keep hearing from you. Yeah, it's hard to say no to a lot of these because there's so many talented writers out there who deserve to be seen and for their work to be noticed.
Remy's rooting for you all. Good luck with your writing. Good luck with your submissions. And we hope this was helpful. Thank you. He is a cutie.
He really knows a lot about this program at this stage.
He's a Nepo cat. He's going to apply and become a fellow.
We always said like, so you were pregnant during our entire first accelerator. I think
Yeah.
you like had a baby like a week after, and you were like in the womb. Hazel was absorbing all these pitches. Like she's gonna know, she's gonna be a development exec.
She really is.
All right, everyone. Have a great night, and we will see you. Hopefully, we'll see your names on all of the scripts that are submitted.
Goodbye. Mwah.
Bye, everyone.